Hello, Jim Howard here in Fort Worth, Texas. Today's date, it's September 13th of 2021. It's a Monday, and it's almost 6 p.m. Bright sunshine outside. This room's on the west side of the apartment, so I get the sunlight coming in the windows, two of them, when the sun's, going down in the afternoon. In the morning, we get the sun at the other side of the apartment, and then as that happens, I don't think the lighting is the best right now for some reason. I've been moving this camera around. I just moved it. I just had it over here. I had it on this monitor, then I had it on this monitor. I don't know. And the C920 is over here, Logitech C920, but that goes with that I'm pointing to. That goes for the monitor and for the Linux install that I have on that computer over there, which is my old Dell computer that I've had for quite a while. These two monitors here are running on the Beeline computer, very small computer. And I mentioned in a couple of videos before that the problem with the audio, with the noise and the static and the whatever, had apparently been corrected, and that I no longer needed the sound card that I was using. But apparently it hasn't, although you're not going to hear it, I don't believe. Anyway, I was switching some stuff around, and I thought that problem had been taken care of, and I mentioned in a video that I thought that Windows 11 had, or other fixes or something, had fixed it. I think they fixed it on maybe the recording. Well, of course, I'm using the Elgato Wave 3 USB microphone. But I switched some things around and, came out of my Beeline and ran the cable into my speakers. I made some changes, and when I play the audio that way, when I listen to audio, there is that frying sound in there, so that hasn't been fixed. But then what because I'm always switching things around here, what I did was, and I guess maybe I was doing that, well, no, before I was using the Sound Blaster card. I had plugged in, that took care of it, but I unplugged it because I thought things were fixed. And so what I did, the 3.5 jack audio coming out, there is, if I plug into that, I hear that static sound. So what I did, both of these monitors have a jack on the back where you can come out with, use the monitor speakers, but there's a jack. And of course, monitor speakers are not, sufficiently loud enough. But there is a jack to come out off of that. So I just ran that, and I can do it with either one of the speakers. I ran that into my speakers, and it's okay. So problem taken care of, but I was kind of wishing that I was hoping that had been fixed. Because one of these days I'll be moving that thing around and doing something, and then it's going to be, oh, I got that static sound, and then I'll have to, do something else. So, how are things working? Let me see here. I'm looking at this monitor, which has the Manicam control panel. And when I clapped like that, it looked like there was a little bit of a delay. So I hope the audio is in sync. I hate it when it gets out of sync. I'm thinking, I got that Chrome box. I have 2 Chrome boxes. I just had one hooked up last week. But I am really liking now, Ubuntu, the latest version over here on this monitor. And I'm really liking and I've used a whole bunch over the years of versions of, Linux, just about all of them. Well, there's so many versions of, Linux. Haven't used them all. I really liked one that I used a while back here for a few days or something, and I really liked it. Can't remember now which one it was. I guess I'd have to go back and look at my videos. And but I've got Ubuntu, whatever, the 20 something, I think. I canceled, by the way, I mentioned that I canceled what they now call Microsoft 365, which is like Office is in that, and all the other programs. They have a whole ton of them. It's not very much money. What was it? Can't remember now. $12 or $13 or something, and you get all the Office things, or all of the spreadsheet, everything, and including extra storage, massive amount of extra storage for files. Outlook, not Outlook. Yeah, is it Outlook? Microsoft, their email program, which I have used for years and years and years. And but I just went ahead and canceled that in order to save whatever it was, $12 or $13 or something per month. And I could have gotten it cheaper if I'd have paid like for a year ahead of time. But I'm doing fine without it. Probably, I think that's already happened now. I have apparently lost a ton of, and I knew that, of images that were stored on, what is it, can't remember. And I could have saved them. I could have moved them over to some other storage, but I didn't. I've come to the conclusion. I never looked them up. I never went and looked them up. Those images. You always think you are. You always save these, images and think, oh well, yeah, Nobody wants to see them. Everybody's got their own. But so Office had added their own version of like Grammarly, a spelling checker, and of course I've been paying for Grammarly for a long time, and it's great. But with that Office package, that they had their version, which was not as good, but it probably will be someday of it. But I'm just going to continue using Grammarly. I could have used something like that. Wow. I remember back I did 4 grievances at one hospital that I worked at, 2 grievances at another hospital that I worked at. And I didn't use a spell checker. And the spelling, I'm sure, was really bad, because also back then, sort of, I was just beginning to think, okay, well, spelling's kind of important. But I put out for years a shortwave listening newsletter that went out to mimeographed. 500 copies of I think it was 26 pages went out every month. It took me an entire month to get them mailed out. I had to mimeograph them off. I had to put them together myself, and I had to then, mail them out and the whole thing. And I won't talk about that in a minute. It was an editorial that I wrote one time, and other clubs picked up the editorial, especially one major big club, the oldest shortwave listening club around. I think they've gone out now, and I don't think they're around anymore. Newark News Radio Club. But they reprinted my editorial. I called for an association of the shortwave listening clubs together and to hold a convention every year and things like that. And the Newark News Radio Club had been around since I think shortly after Marconi. It was like in the 1920s or something. They had a right to be. Well, they didn't have a right to be that arrogant and they condescending, and it was that unusual that they mentioned any other shortwave club or any other. It wasn't just a shortwave listening club. It was, medium wave broadcast, television DXing, and all kinds of stuff. And so, and they never, they try to make it a point not to mention any other club, pretending like the other clubs didn't exist, and other shortwave clubs and stuff didn't exist. But they did reprint my editorial calling for an association of all the clubs that there were, and they ridiculed it, and one way they ridiculed it was, which I saw that they had printed, and I thought, that's strange. It wasn't strange that they attacked me. One guy attacked me, not a amateur radio operator that had a club, the Certificate Hunters Club, and called me a dirty, garbage pail editorializer. And what I did when he did that is I printed out a certificate for every one of the members of the American Shortwave Listeners Club, the club that I was doing. And I printed out a certificate making every one of those 500 or so people a member of the what did I call it? Member or whatever of the dirty garbage pail editorializers or something, I forget. But when the Newark News Radio Club printed I looked at it, and I thought, wow, it's strange. Why in the world? Because they don't even acknowledge that there's any group outside of their group. Why would they print a full page of my editorial? And then I noticed, though, that there was SIC after just about every word. And I was like, SIC? Why is that in there? SIC, SIC. I just kept staring at it and kept staring at it. Why is that there? And then I saw, well, of course, I saw, SIC after a word that was misspelled. Because I didn't pay that much attention to, I really didn't. Now I do think, well, as life went on, yeah, it is kind of. And I wish, like when I did those, grievances back in the 1970s, that I had known about word processing or spelling it things. And I wish I'd have used it. Although it worked out okay, I won all my grievances at that hospital, 4 of them. Um, but anyway, so I saw this. Okay, word is misspelled. It has an SIC after it. Okay, well this word here has SIC. All these words here have SIC after them, and I'm noticing that's a misspelled word. That's spelled incorrectly. Ah, that's what that means. So they ridiculed me, I guess. But what happened was that the clubs all got together and formed the whatever it was, Association of Radio Club. I forget what it was called. And I held the first convention for it in Kansas City, Missouri at the Mulebach Hotel. And so anyway, I love this Grammarly, and I love spell checkers, but this Grammarly, it's a little bit expensive. I forget what I pay. Of course, it's like, and I think I'm paying month to month, so it would be cheaper if, that's something I've thought about doing for I don't know how long, not like I pay for Amazon Prime, but I pay monthly. I pay for, all these different, well, there's some of them I pay, the yearly thing. But I really would like to pay for these things yearly and save the money. But I would like to make sure that they don't all fall due, like January or something. I want to have them spread because, I don't want to pay all those in one month. It's not bad, each month maybe paying for one or something. Anyway, but I'd like to, save the money. But anyway, they put out a report. Let's see, it says that I'm 83% more productive than Grammarly users. I'm 50%, let's see, I'm more accurate than 57% of Grammarly users. The vocabulary words I use are more unique than 82% of Grammarly users. Now, I'm not sure how accurate something like that would be, because a lot of times when I'm posting something, like I go to Wikipedia and copy it and say go over to maybe to YouTube to put it in. I give credit. I hope I always give credit. Sometimes I might forget. But I go over to and put the quotation marks around it and put Wikipedia under another with a link sometimes. Can't remember. But see, when I do that, when I copy that text from Wikipedia and say paste it for YouTube, it will show me misspelled words or whatever, or something else that I would well, anyway, I'm using their words, so I'm not sure how something like that is, how accurate that is. Tone. I really haven't paid any attention to this. Some of the tones that were detected in your writing last week: confidence, 27%, optimistic, 26%, friendly, 17%, informal, 13%, negative, 4%, appreciative, 3%, direct. I don't even know. I guess that's data that I could. Okay, words checked, over time. I can't even, is that 1,039,053 total words checked by Grammarly since November 13th of 2016. That must be when I started with them, I think. Oh, here is something, though, that top 3 mistakes I'm missing is missing periods. And I can understand that because sometimes I just put some spaces or something and go to a new subject or do something like that. And this one, missing commas in compound sentences. Yeah, there's a lot of times that I don't even know. I can't claim that I'm not sure. I wasn't paying attention in school. Move the microphone over here. I just let it tell me, I let it catch me and tell me, okay, this word here needs you need to put a comma in here, or this, that type of stuff. Double periods, I don't take it. That's there again, I may do ... Okay. You can use Grammarly with, with a whole bunch of different programs. It works inside of when I'm typing titles and things for YouTube, just a whole bunch of places. It works, and you can put it to work with your different browsers if you want to, and it just works. And like I said, it's a little bit expensive, but yeah, maybe should I? Let's see. Maybe I can see easily. Grammarly, free. Oh, by the way, yeah, you can use it free. I should have mentioned that. Let's see here. Whoops, gotta go. Okay, gotta remember to go over there. Okay, so hopefully it'll show us the price. If I click on account, okay, wait a minute. Yeah, let's see. I don't want to click on account right now because I think my information may show up or whatever. If you happen to know what it costs, put it in the comments below. I know something, this reminds me. Thank goodness, I'm not sure, I believe, like when you come to the YouTube site that you're going to, I think there was some point where you could scroll down a certain way, a certain number. And then I think you had to hit, enter to continue. And now I've got over 1,000 videos, and I could just sit here and do this. I'm up to 7 months ago, and just keep scrolling. See, I was a cute kid when I was little. I was a cute kid until I got to the age where I maybe was interested in girls, and I was hoping girls were interested in me, and then I wasn't so cute anymore. Here we are 9 months ago. This is my Medtronic device, and I think you can see it. No, you can't. I'd have to. on that. I moved that thing, which you can't. Well, let's see if I can turn this without burning my hand almost. This thing is, let's see, there you go. The white thing on the end there is my Medtronic thing for my pacemaker in. And 4 times a year, or if there would be some type of a problem that it would detect, it's running all the time and monitoring me from, over there. And 3 times a year, it automatically sends data to the heart doctor. And then once a year I go in and see the heart doctor. This is 11 months ago when I had the new pacemaker put in. The old one lasted 10 years. And I had that put in about a year ago, the new one. And so this battery should last about 10 years, and I don't think I'll probably be around to see it, replaced. Well, maybe I will see it replaced, No, I won't. I was going to try to do something about looking down, from heaven or something, but then I wouldn't be up in heaven. And I'm not heaven bound anyway. No, I think I am. Well, I don't believe in heaven or hell. Here's a year ago when I had the nasal test done for the virus. That was before, I had to have that done before going in to have the pacemaker put in. No big deal having the pacemaker put in. In case you're somebody who's. By the way, these are some trees, if you're looking at where the mouse is, I guess, that are in the parking lot here, and they have these red flowers. I forget what they're called. That's a nice thing about the cell phone, and this is an Apple, no. This is a Google Pixel 3A, and it has that Google lens on it, and it's really neat. You can take a picture of a flower, an animal, all types of stuff. It does, and it. My son was reminding me, my grown son, he's used it. You can take a picture of a sign that's in another language, and it'll translate it for you. Take a picture of flowers or trees, and it will tell you what kind of tree it is, and really, that is a neat factor. That's a neat thing. A year ago, the Elgato Wave 3, that's the microphone I'm using here. Oh, yeah, here I was running. No, that's not the one I was thinking of. Here's Zorin 15.1. Update, here's one about the same time. Can't remember the one that I like. I'm happy though with, Ubuntu. Here you can see a year ago I installed Ubuntu Studio 19.10. And here at the same time, I guess it may have a little bit before that, I was running Zorin 15.1 Ultimate. Okay, I was not, this one here, this video here, it says Jim Howard Uncensored, raving and ranting. Well, that's not unusual. But that picture is from when I was in Miami at, what's the name of the beach? It's a nude beach that is approved by the city or county, that's kind of rare for nude beaches to be approved. The local nudist club tried to get that for a long time, and it's been available for a long time as a, and people come from all over the world. I'm not sure how many come from all over the world. There are people that are coming to Miami. There's people that come from all over the world, and a bunch of them go to the nude beach. Now, I went to the nude beach that day. Okay, not a year ago, but because this is a picture that was taken several years before, when I was in Orlando, and I went to, I forget the name of the beach. How could I forget that? So anyway, I was at the nude beach, and I got a pretty damn good sunburn. And so I was heading back to Orlando with that sunburn. Then I got called. I was working contract security, and I was in charge of hospital security for the contract company. I was in charge of the guys there and that kind of stuff. And I got a call that I would have to come in because we only had one person on duty at a time, and somebody didn't show up, so I had to go in with a sunburn. Ouch. I think Biden finally got this robocall thing taken care of, because I'm not getting all the robocalls that I used to. In fact, I'm not getting any. They just don't even ring through. It'll show or something as a spam call or something like that. So finally, I'm sure they haven't fixed it totally, but finally, because there's no reason for that. And my understanding was that, in Europe, they don't have to put up with that. Just like I heard the guys from Twit TV talking on, I don't know if it was Windows Weekly or what it was, the other day, and they were talking about internet service and how President Biden is calling for spending $54 billion to nationwide improve the internet service so that everybody in the United States, and I guess would apply to, it would apply to Puerto Rico, of course, too, but I guess a few other places, so that everybody has 100% access to high-speed internet. And the United States ranks like 17 of, nations in the world, and we started we started the internet, and we're 17th. Hong Kong and I think Korea and places like that are like number one, not just in ability to access it anywhere you are in the country, but getting high speed 100% of everywhere you are, and cost too, being and here in the United States, internet service isn't available 100% of the area. High speed isn't available 100% of the area. But we pay more for we're 17th, and we got we pay more than anybody else. We're number one in how much it costs, and it's just the way our system works. It needs, but anyway, in the past here in the United States, electricity wasn't available 100% of the United States. A lot of people didn't have, I'm not talking about before there was electricity. I'm talking about once electricity had come around. That not everybody was hooked up, and large areas of the United States weren't hooked up because it just wasn't, who wants to run a, uh, electric line out to your, you know, relative who lives in Sweet Springs or Peculiar or someplace out there where there's hardly anybody. They don't. No company is going to do that. And so the Democrats, Franklin D. Roosevelt and whatever, they came up with electricity as a right for everybody in the United States. Tennessee Valley Project and others, and they brought electricity to everybody. And then the farmers, they could run their equipment, they could have electricity, and they could run their farm equipment too, the milking machines, and just, it was good for the entire, it's the way it should be, good for the entire. And then, the United States telephone service wasn't available to everybody. And there again, you had probably the same areas, basically, where there's very few people. Private industry is not going to run a telephone line, Southwestern Bell and AT&T and all these people. They're not going to, and believe, oh, by the way, they charge you like, they just charge, it was like armed, they might as well just, come with banditos on their face or a mask on their face or whatever and rob you or whatever. And as a person who had a computer bulletin board system, you can watch the BBS The Documentary, and there's systops talking about the massive amount of money that AT&T and Southwestern Bell and whatever how they charged. It was more expensive. I lived in Missouri, and it was more expensive to make a phone call in Missouri than it was for me from Missouri to call New York City or California. It was expensive to do those, but it was more expensive to call, Kansas City, Missouri to call Kansas City, Kansas, or Kansas City, Missouri to call the state capital, Jefferson City, and stuff. So the Democrats moved and got approved. Everybody has to have, should have, in order to be a part of, of the, telephone service. Not for free, but at a reasonable price that people could afford, and everybody got, and now the Democrats have been trying, and Biden is going to, well, I don't even want to mention the number that he's talking about, but if that's what's necessary, everybody. If I can't function, I pay all the bills, I do everything online, and all these people that bill or whatever, they have the option. Do you want a bill? Because they don't want to send it. It saves them some money, And so there's a whole bunch of things, that I don't even get a bill in the mail for. And I don't see how people do, everything. Well, like this thing going. That's part of the thing. The thing that recently we've seen because of the virus, kids having to do schoolwork, at home, not able to go to school, but having to do their schoolwork at home, and no internet. So we've seen the pictures probably on CNN, but probably also, on, YouTube of children sitting outside of their school that's closed, sitting outside the school, with a tablet or something, trying to get in, so they could do their homework, or sitting outside of some business that has, I saw a YouTube video where this young black, can I say boy, without getting in trouble, young black boy was in Best Buy. I think that was it, Best Buy. They noticed him coming in and over by the games or something like that, and they thought, he's not, not hurting anything. He's just playing some games, And it was like a regular, And finally, one of the people that worked at Best Buy, I'm surprised. I haven't had good luck. I never had good luck with Best Buy. But he came over and he said, I don't know, which of the games are you playing or something? No, I'm doing my homework. I don't have, internet at home, and I come in here and do a little bit of the homework or something. And I think he was doing it like on a cell phone, I guess his cell phone or something. And the Best Buy guy showed him, hey, here's a tablet. You can do it on a tablet. And then I can't remember the rest of the YouTube video. I think eventually they probably got afraid, that everybody was going to be coming in there and doing that. So I think they kicked in or something, and somebody got him set up with internet service at home and whatever. Somebody. So let's see. I see. Whoops. New Windows 10 build a year ago. I forgot about this. Well, I should. I mean, it's nothing but a year ago, the Chuck and Julie show was canceled. I can't remember now what they said or what they did, but that was the end of their show on the on the radio. A year ago, I looked at, I'm not sure, did I sign up? I don't think I did. I guess I did. It says first look at, I must have done a 30-day free trial of Disney Plus or something. I didn't like it. It's a year ago, a review of the HP Chromebox G2. A year ago, ordering from Amazon Fresh. We didn't like it. It turned out we ordered food from Walmart. Somebody thanked, or I want to thank whoever it was, I forget now. I made a video about ordering food from Walmart and showed, talked about how it worked out. We had delivery, we have it delivered, and how great that was. And it's kind of a long video, and one of you all left a comment, Jim. I think you were talking about Walmart, but you said Walgreens every time, So I went and I didn't delete the video or go in, and pop up on the screen any, I'm too lazy for that. But I did go underneath it and explain, oh, by the way, a year ago playing with OBS, a video a year ago of Logitech G910 versus the DOS Keyboard 4. Right now I'm using the Logitech G910 here, which I like. I'm using the DOS keyboard over here, which I like, and where is which, can't find it now. Oh, here. The DOS keyboard 4, I like it a lot. I've mentioned why I like it, but the keys are not lit. Even though I'm a touch typist, sometimes because I don't hit those often, I forget where the dollar sign is or the percent sign or something, And oh yeah, a year ago, goodbye to Yahoo groups, man. Yahoo, and what's the other one? Oh man. Review of the Logitech G Pro X gaming headset. Here's Hillary, my daughter, some video of her at the casino. We don't go to the casino anymore. I went a few times. She went a lot to the casino, and I went a few times with her. I didn't get sick. We didn't get sick or anything, but I'm not going to be. And she says she's not either going to go to the casino. I wonder about that. But no, that's just if you want to get the virus, you're suicidal or something, and you want to get the virus, just go to a casino. This one is in, right across from Texas in Oklahoma. I think it's maybe 30 minutes from here, maybe a little bit longer. But everybody's sitting next to each other, and all the video machines, just about all of them, you can touch the screen to do. I never do. I just hit the button or whatever. But you can do all kind. When things pop up where you have a choice of doing this, and you touch people touching the screen all the time. There's no way that they can. I'm sure what they probably are doing now is you're not sitting. They probably have a machine shut down, so you're not sitting right next. But there is, with the way it works. If you want to get the virus for some reason, if you're suicidal, go to a casino. All three of us here, by the way, are vaccinated fully, and my daughter, she's vaccinated for the virus. It'll be, I guess it's going to be time here in a little bit for us to come up when they decide to come up and take the booster shot. And it's this time of year, too, to get the flu shot. And I usually always get the flu shot for many, many years now. Well, not that many. But I've been getting it for the last few years. And I'll get this flu shot. I need to get the flu shot here before long. Because I don't want to come down with the flu and then end up, this is Texas, by the way, I don't want to end up at the hospital with, go there, for the flu, and then be mixed in with all these people who have, the virus. It's just so sad. This could have all been over with if everybody had just gotten, the flu or the virus shots. We would have been able to. We wouldn't be worrying. We wouldn't be worrying about this. It would not be a problem. But we have so many people who don't want to get shots. People who think it's a conspiracy, and just all of this stupidity. And now I don't know this. This may go on forever like this unless everybody decides to get, I can remember when I was a kid, polio. Every summer, every summer, the polio virus came through the cities, like I was in Kansas City, Missouri. Kansas City, Missouri shut down swimming pools, shut down movie theaters, shut down, I don't think there was any Chuck E. Cheese's in, but, all these places had to be shut down. Kids, they had kids on the news, people, kids and adults in iron lungs. It was, and I'm sure this was mistaken, but I remember watching back when I was a kid in grade school or whatever. Somebody, somebody on TV or whatever said, uh, if you can't touch your chin to your chest, then that's a sign that you have polio. And I'm sure that's not correct. That might have been a sign if you have one kind of, that, and in some people. But that was something that I saw on TV. And so every night when I went to bed, when I lay down in bed, I would touch my chin to my chest, and I thought, okay, well, my ex-wife, there's a difference in her age. How many years is that? Well, anyway, when we got married, she was 18 and I was 26, so do the math. But she got polio just before they came out with the vaccine. And she was in the hospital for months. Her polio did not affect her in the lungs, but it was in the legs and that type of stuff. And she ended up, having to wear braces, go to school with braces on. She fell down at school one time, with the brace on and broke her ankle or leg or something, rather, because of the braces. We got, she had to use crutches all her life. She's in a wheelchair now. Um, um, we've been divorced for like 40 years or whatever. Occasionally she'll just say things. And I try to ignore it or whatever, but occasionally she'll just say something like, no real man would marry a handicapped woman. How do you think that makes me feel? She says other things like that from time to time. But anyway, we were married for 12 years, We'd go someplace and I would carry her purse, because she had crutches and that kind of stuff. Anyway. Oh, from 2 years ago, my, YouTube video, about Trump lying about the National Weather Service and NOAA and that type of stuff. Okay, here's a trip to the casino in Oklahoma 2 years ago. That's not going to happen anymore. Here's a video of my daughter flying her drone. She bought, small inexpensive one when they came out or whatever, and then she bought some bigger ones that were kind of expensive. Here's 2 years ago. I went from 400 megs down internet service, and I was wondering where that was coming from. I went back down to 200, and they offer a meg, a meg down. But I'd moved up to 400, and then I thought, oh, why pay the extra $30 or whatever it was, and then I went down to 200. But then after that, I went back up to 400, and a gig is only $30 more, but we don't really need 400. 400 is fine for us. In fact, we could get by with 200. Let's see. This is in case you're wondering. This is in 1959 when I was in high school. Went to a military high school. Not that my parents were wealthy or anything. It was a Catholic, I'm just a little bit different, though. Donald Trump went to a high school that was military for 4 years, and I went for 4 years. And then there's a quote from him talking about that he knew, because he went to high school for 4 years, ROTC, that he knew more than the people who were in the military, U.S. people that were in the military. He knew because he went to high school, ROTC, for 4 years. Oh. It says here that I was going to, 2 years ago, sell my Panasonic G7. I didn't sell it. I kept it. I just can't bring myself to sell it. I never use it. I've even got the hardware and the software that I can hook it up. And in fact, I did that. And really, this works. The USB camera, but it doesn't work better. But I had to fiddle with this. It's plugged in USB, and I see here a steak, that homemade steak and corn, and maybe something else from 2 years ago. And well, one thing I don't get, I was going to say, I'm not somebody who takes pictures every day of it, of your food, but then there again, I'm not out. Very rarely get out. I can't get very far away from a restroom, Plus, too, I can hardly stand up. I have to be careful stepping off curbs. I fell back a few years ago. It was an extra high curb. I'd gone to walk to the mailbox about, let's say, a block and a half from here, and to mail a package that wouldn't fit in our slot here at the, and then when I, came to the curb, it was a little extra high. There was a drive in there where, I guess that's why it was high. And I stepped off and went down into a busy street, Campoy Boulevard, and the cars were stopped at a red light down there. And then I had difficulty getting back up. I cut scraped both my knees and tore my pants. My Placostomus, I had 2 of those in my 20-gallon tank over there, but when Texas couldn't keep their electrical grid working, and we were without electricity for, 5 days or 6 days or something, and it was so cold in here that the 2 Placostomus died, and a Corydoras catfish died. These USB webcams really do take some pretty good, of course I guess it's the software too. Oh, that's what that's something maybe I'll do when I finish this. I've got it set up, I think if you click on the link, you go to, my YouTube page, /HNBBS. There's other ways to get there too. I need to go in and change those for the 2 or 3 that I'm using it. Where it directs you directly. I need to go in and change that so they're directed to here, because all of the videos are right. This is still, 2 years ago, and we've got a bunch of years here to go. Our cats. Oh, this was a ham fest, the Cowtown Ham Fest that we went to, and Hillary went with me, and she really enjoyed it. She had a lot of fun there, and made friends. Hillary makes friends every place that she goes. That was just amazing. She was she was sitting there, and we had stuff that we were selling, and these other people are all selling stuff. And then there was some people that had, from companies that had amateur radio, hats. And not this one, I got it, but hats and stuff like that. But it was just amazing that she, I said I was mainly watching the table, and she was sitting there with me, and then I had to go to the restroom every once in a while, so she was watching it for me. But then I told her, go walk around. She walked around, she made friends, she talked to these people, made friends with them. Then she comes back, and one of the women that had a table set up over there brought her over some beads or something that this lady made, for free, and stuff like that. Just Hillary is she enjoyed that. We wanted to go to another ham fest, and then the virus, the next, hit. This, I don't know how well you can see it. This one that says live streaming test again or whatever. I mentioned the other day, I was years and years ago in chat with a guy who was in Switzerland, I believe, and he got into chat with me, and we started talking, and he, for pay, he created, software and graphics and that kind of stuff, and he volunteered. He says, I'll make you right now some, images or whatever. And I said, no, I wouldn't ask it. No. He says, no, I'd be happy to do it, Jim. So anyway, he was sitting there, and we were chatting, and then he'd he said, do you have any pictures, And I really didn't have any, these were pictures of me as a little kid, basically, most of them. And, but anyway, he was chatting with me all the time, and he popped up, what do you like? Do you like this? Do you like this or whatever? And I was like blown away, I really should be using, someplace I have, it's probably on that drive that I no longer have because I gave up here's Hillary. She is something else with these bouncy jump shoes, springs like, and she just bought them, and I'm not sure if I was already outside. She probably said she had them, and she was going to come over and show them to me, and so I went outside with, and the video's only a minute and 41 seconds. You want to see it? Okay, Oops. Oh, it stopped. Okay.
Press, Ron.
I'll put a link to, oh, send me the link and I'll put a link to it, you know, underneath.
These are the kangaroo jump boots. They have a lot of different kinds and different ones, but these look more fun.
Okay.
You gonna follow me home?
No, just to the other sidewalk.
You're not staying in the grass, see? Oh,
Anyway, that's only about halfway through. I was wrong, of course. I told Hillary, I said, you're gonna, you know, you're gonna, oh, good, it took me back basically where I was. I'd have clicked on some of these other things if I'd have known. Okay, I can show you, let's see, will this show up or not? No. Okay, it doesn't show the, I wanted to show you the image that, or the, oh, remember when I got out of the hospital, I had the black tongue? I guess it was called the black hairy tongue. Never heard of it, but I had it. Yeah, that was, that's when my leg got infected. I sat down on my bed. Oh, I know, I was changing the mattress or something or other on it, and I scratched my leg, just a small scratch on my leg, and I think I just rubbed some alcohol on it real quick or something. Maybe I didn't do anything. Got infected. I spent 6 days in the hospital. Ugh. And then I also came up with, I guess, the antibiotic or something, which was a powerful one. It was a $6,000 medication or something. And our orange cat, I guess I took that with the Panasonic LX7. I still have that. Well, back here it is, right here. Yeah, nobody, I guess, wants to use. Great camera, but cell phones are so. You know, I've bought how many cell phones you guys have watched me buy. 3 years ago. I guess this is right after I came home, maybe from the hospital where I was for sick. Yeah. And the title is, I Don't Think I'm Going to Make It. And these are some videos of me in the hospital. I guess this was live, a little bit of live streaming from the hospital. This is funny. In 1958, I've been a junior in, oh, you're not seeing that, I'm sorry. Okay, let's go back up here. Here's 3 years ago, the title of this, I Don't Think I'm Going to Make It. And here I was, 3 years ago in the hospital. Here's another, video that I did. And I was in there for 6 days. I couldn't eat. I didn't, they always ask, they go to check to see how much, I don't think they were paying any attention because I didn't have anything to eat for 6 days. Hillary, and I was surprised she came with, her son, my grandson, and I couldn't believe that he left. He's grown, man, but I couldn't believe that he left his computer game to come to see me at the hospital. I think that Hillary told him that I was going to die, maybe, but she brought like McDonald's, and stuff. She can't make stuff like that. I couldn't eat anything. I could not eat anything, and I didn't eat for 6 days. And anyway, that was not pleasant. Oh, here's in 1950, there was a, believe it or not, in Kansas City, Missouri, there was a amusement park. Now, we're not talking Six Flags over Texas or, Disney, but it was a low cost, sort of a neighborhood amusement park. It was called Fairyland. And finally they went out of business. But in 1958, I went there with 2 friends of mine from high school. We were all juniors, and they were identical twins, Larry and Jerry Winship. 1958, and they had a booth where you could make a 45 RPM, I think it was. Let me play this for you. Okay, this is 1958.
My name is James Hard, and the 2 guys I'm with are idiots.
That's you, Shorty.
Listen, Shorty. I'm quite untying my shoes. Suppose he's not stooping over, he's standing up straight. That's all the farther it comes to me.
Well, can I help if you stand on my head?
These 2 guys, they're both nuts.
Yeah, you sure are crazy, aren't you?
Well, all 3 crazy wouldn't go to the town look right there.
I know we wouldn't, but we're going there, aren't we, in that often? I'm usually following your son.
No, brother. Contrary to the rumors, these guys are not idiots. They're just imbeciles.
Yeah, just crazy.
Okay, both of them have passed away. They were identical twins. Oh, well, I won't mention who because he might be embarrassed or think that, but I'll just say a family member. I uploaded that to a site. I think it's still there, but I forget which site I uploaded it to. And he heard it, and he said, "That's not real." He just couldn't imagine, I guess, that in 1958, that, what's kind of strange is, back when the first video games came, Atari or whatever, you know, where you put a cartridge in, and my kids were, well, to begin with, there wasn't four of them, you know, but they were, you know, little. And I made, for years, um, audio tape, you know, sometimes like an hour or whatever, you know, talking to the kids, like, oh, okay, what day is it, you know, today? How old are you, you know, LaDonna? And and there'd be a sound of the game in the background, all that kind of stuff. Well, made all those tapes, and um, just put them away someplace. And then they got so old that the tapes were really brittle. When I finally decided I need to save these somehow, uh, you know, and just put them in a cassette tape recorder. Do you know what a cassette tape recorder is? Uh, you know, the tape would break, you know, and stuff when I'd start or stop or whatever. So there's some interesting, you know, interesting tapes there. I sent them all to my oldest daughter. So someplace she has those in a box. They're even older, I'm sure now than they were. But anyway, Larry and Jerry died. They, um, like I said, identical twins, so they died about a year apart. Um, they both, if you ever watched old movies, Peter Lorre, they both looked like Peter Lorre. And their father looked exactly like Peter Lorre. One time I went over to their house, and I think it was a Sunday or something, because I think on Sundays back then on television, on like I think like Sunday there'd be like old videos, you know, Wolfman and Dracula, all the old ones, you know. And then there was a lot of Peter Lorre movies. They might have been showing those like, you know, every weekend for a while or something. And so I went over, and it was like Sunday, and there was Larry and Jerry's father sitting there, and he looked exactly like Peter Lorre. I mean, size, everything. And then they were sitting on the floor next to him, and they were watching, you know, Peter Lorre movies. And, I would have, you know, like I wish I could go back in time. You know, I wish I could have, you know, I wouldn't want to make fun of somebody, you know. I mean, but that was like that'd be like, you know, make a great YouTube video. You know, I don't know how you would do it. Like, you know, and then you'd show, you know, here's some friends of mine, you know, and they're watching Peter Lorre movies. They just love Peter Lorre. And then you would slowly, I guess, go over and you'd show, you know, Larry or whatever, sitting next to his dad. And then you'd show Jerry, you know. Did I say Larry and then Jerry? And then you'd come back a little bit, and it would be, I think that made a good YouTube video. I think people probably be saying, how'd you do the makeup? How'd you do the, you know, whatever. No, that was just strange. Here I am, and, well, I'm the little guy here. Let's see if we can see the, nope.
Hello, Jim Howard here in Fort Worth, Texas.
This is me, of course. And the young man behind me is William Hall, my cousin. Now, my mother's side, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly what cousin, how, you know, first, second, third, I'm not sure. But he was a few years older than I was. And he went into the Army. And then, you know, he went to basic training, and then he came back, and then came over, and then he drank with my mother and father, and a lot, you know. Then he went back, and then he was, you know, the military, and he was sent to Germany. So he was in Germany. After, you know, World War II, so he got a ribbon for Army of Occupation, or a medal for Army of Occupation. Then he came back and you know, and drank with my mother and father. If you're getting an idea, yeah. Both my parents, I've mentioned this repeatedly, both my parents were alcoholics. They always worked, never missed a day's work, but they were alcoholics. And my cousin would qualify too, but he left the military once or twice, but then he always went back almost immediately. And so he eventually retired from the military. But anyway, so he'd gone to Germany, came back. Then he went to Korea, but not during the fighting. So he was there, and he got a ribbon and a medal for Army of Occupation of Korea, you know. And then he came back. And when he came back, then he was in the military police. I'm not sure if he was military police when he was in Germany or not. I think maybe he was. And then he came back with a friend called Tiny, and of course Tiny was not Tiny, but he was in the military police too. I imagine probably at some point he had to get out of the military, but he was really nice. And he came back, and my parents and Bill and Tiny, they drank and told stories, and I think that's maybe why I wanted to be in the military, because of my older cousin, I'm guessing. And of course I couldn't get in the military when it came down to it because of being underweight. But then what I've mentioned before repeatedly, what I totally forgot about, that in the first grade I had hearing loss, I think from an ear infection or something, hearing loss in both ears. But I just totally forgot that, but that would have kept me out of the military big time. And I've mentioned that it's a good thing when I went out after high school. I went to a military high school for that reason. As soon as I graduated, I went down and filling out, you know, all this stuff. And I said, the only thing, you know, went through a list of, you know, have you ever had and all that. And I'm just a little bit underweight. And he says, yeah, you do. And he asked, you know, and then he looked through a book and he said, you're 40 pounds under minimum weight, you know. Goodbye, son. He left. Then a couple years later, I got called for my selective service physical. Went down, 200 of us all naked. Doctor sees me, you know, comes through, you know. I was skin and bone, you know. And he said, did you just get out of the hospital? Are you sick? You know, no. And so then I got a card, you know, 1A. I go, shit, damn, you know. There again, I totally forgot about the hearing. And so then I went down to the Army recruiter. He said, oh, okay, well, Jim, I would have been coming, we get a list of everybody that's 1A. I'd have been coming to see you. And I said, I'm ready, sign me up. And I said, I'm a little bit pissed, you know. I want to make a career in the military. I was here, you know, a year or two, whatever it was, you know. And you wouldn't take me. And they said, why? And I said, well, you know, the recruiter said I was 40 pounds under minimum weight requirement. You do look thin, you know. He said, just a second. He called over to the medical place. And then they looked, height and weight, I guess, you know. I guess they never rejected people very often for that, you know. And that was that. And then I was 1Y. And then eventually they changed, which I didn't know till Trump came up. It was mentioned in the news that he had been, you know, he got deferments repeatedly, and then he had bone spurs that kept him out of the military. And then they talked about that he, you know, he had deferments because he was going to school, and then he had a deferment for the thing, and then that eventually that he got a 1Y card, And then I was watching the news or reading it or whatever, and I thought, oh, we had the same deferment. And then they mentioned that on such and such a date, all the 1Y deferments were changed to 4F. And I thought, I wish I hadn't read that, because I kind of thought, well, at least I'm not 4F, you know. But it turns out I was. Now here's an interesting picture, but I'm not sure it's going to show up. I don't think it will show up. See this skinny guy, Barney Fife? That's me in, it would have been 1972 to about 1974, or 1971 to 1974, something, working at St. Joseph Hospital in Kansas City, Missouri. And that was the worst neighborhood in Kansas City, Missouri at that time. Eventually it changed. It looked like it was following me wherever I went. The bad neighborhood. But that neighborhood, of course, that was the bad neighborhood, was the neighborhood I grew up in. But anyway, I was working St. Joseph Hospital. And there was 10 security officers that worked there. Not 10 per shift, but total of 10. And Dan Stego was shot in the Wabash parking lot at 9:15 p.m. and about a year later, John Galegas was shot and killed in the parking lot about a year later. But this is the only picture that I have of me. I wish, that wish we had things like, of course, what made a difference, like cell phones back, then. I had cameras, I was always into photography, but I would like to have some pictures from those, those days. And there's one. The neighborhood was black, and it was a bad neighborhood because of the times. We're talking, 1972. And I looked like Barney Fife. I joked for a little bit about just having one, because Barney Fife, joked that he was only allowed to have one bullet, and it was in his pocket, I joked about that a little bit. And then I realized people actually thought it. I thought, my God, do you think that... I didn't say it to him, do you honestly think in this neighborhood, or any person in a uniform like this dealing with what I'm dealing with would not have his weapon loaded? I didn't say it, but so I stopped joking. I just had one bullet, Back then, I was working private security, of course, there at St. Joseph Hospital. The Board of Police Commissioners governed the police officers and private security. They had a private officers commissioning office, but and the same rules applied. So police officers could only carry a .38 revolver, and of course same for security. And now your weapon could be where it would shoot a .357 Magnum or something, but you weren't allowed to, you'd only carry .38 ammo. The revolver I had, I wish I had it now. I don't have any guns. When I stopped in 2000 working security or whatever, I got rid of my gun. Not that one. I unfortunately got rid of that one sooner. That was a Smith & Wesson outdoorsman model. and it has great grips on it. And I bet you that revolver right now, I bet it's probably $1,000, because it was a 38 on a 44 frame, I think. It was a big gun. So I was working there at the hospital, looking like Barney Fife, with a big, with a big revolver on my hip. And the neighborhood guys would come by the hospital or try to come into the hospital, and they would see me and they'd go, Barney Fife. And they'd start, I shot the sheriff, but I didn't shoot the deputy, I think I was so thin because, like I said, both my parents were alcoholics. They worked every day, and I was never mistreated. I don't remember ever getting a spanking. Of course, I probably never did anything wrong. When you're the child of, well, I think it can go either way, but when you're the child of alcoholics, I think a lot of us, we become the adults, We, no matter what age, we become the responsible ones, My parents would pass out finally, and I would dump their whiskey out, Seagram 7 or whatever it was, dump it out, and they'd wake up the next, they always go to work every day, but, I thought we had, and a few times I would tell them I'd poured it out, and they'd, maybe they didn't believe me, I don't know. Or maybe, like I said, I never got a spanking, and I never got, later on when I got married at age 26. 12 years later I got divorced, and then I started doing some dating, some heavy, big time dating. I was sort of experimenting. And all these women I dated, we would talk and everything, and had several of them say, oh, you were an abused child. I said, no, I was not, my parents always, well, not my dad, but my mother, do you need money for today for, whatever, I guess give me enough money for lunch, and then some extra or something, I don't know. But, no, I wasn't, my parents never spanked me at all, never, and then they would say, but yeah, you were an abused child, and I said, oh, no. And then I was like talking to, eventually I just stopped, carrying on that kind of a conversation. But I was like, no. And I said, that normal, we had a normal family, that's not a normal, you didn't have a normal family. I said, yes, we did. And then I was like, I can't remember the exact conversation. I was like, so you're telling me that Father Knows Best, Leave It to Beaver, all these TV shows, that was normal family? And they said, yeah. And I said, did you have a family like that? Yeah. So, let's see. I think for some reason my digital thermometer thing has stopped working or something. Guess I need to buy a new one. It's definitely something you want to have on hand. That's great, you don't have to stick something up your ass or, in your mouth. Just read it off of your, forehead or something. I've got one of those pulse ox things also we put on your, your finger or whatever. That's pretty neat. I've got one of those. This here, this set of knives, I think it was a set I got. This is back when I was doing YouTube reviews, and I had, oh my God, I don't know how much stuff sent to me to review. Not YouTube reviews, Amazon reviews. And I was sent this 7-inch knife to review, and we could definitely use it here, but the ex-wife, and she's like in charge of the, the ordering of the food and the kitchen and that kind of stuff. And she was afraid that she was going to cut herself with the knife, or afraid that the knife would fall down and land on the cat or something. So, I gave that away, And we don't have any good knives, really, Let's see. Also gave the pet feeder away. I got to send a couple of those things. Automated pet feeder. I gave just about everything away that I was sent by Amazon people who wanted to sell, that I did, I did reviews or whatever. I told you about that. I had like over 1,000 reviews on Amazon, and almost all of them had a video with it. And I won't go into all the details because I've already gone into the thing, but anyway, Amazon, without, I just got an email or one day from a YouTube viewer or whatever, Jim, all your Amazon reviews are gone. And I went over, sure enough, they were all gone. And I never ever got any email from Amazon about a problem or anything at all. I didn't get an email saying they were going to delete my stuff. I never got an email from them saying you can't review anymore. I just thought, And then I went and tried to do an Amazon review, and it wouldn't allow me to do it. So then I knew, I put 2 and 2 together. Well, I put 2 and 2 together before that, but they apparently, I don't know because they never contacted, but I'm sure I'm sure that there were, Bezos, is Bezos Amazon? I'm sure he didn't, check my stuff or whatever. And I don't think anybody, I think just they ran something and they had some parameters set up or something, and if somebody gave too many 5 stars, then they deleted them, their ability to, so I thought that's kind of, we use Amazon all the time. Everybody I know uses Amazon. All I order stuff. This place is filled with stuff I've ordered from Amazon. But I know they have a lot of people. I know they're busy and all that kind of stuff. But I think they should have sent out a. I was glad when it came to an end because that was a lot of work that I did. But I was fair, and I did a good job. Well, so far as doing a good job, I mentioned that before. I went, like, I've got a scale in there that I bought. It wasn't sent to me for free. I think maybe it was. Can't remember, to review. But, it takes a battery, type of battery that goes in watches or whatever. And every time the battery needed to be replaced, I would go back to my old review of that and go in, and I would change the review and add on that on such and such a date, that it lasted. And so I was doing that for several years. It was like you could see, okay, the battery needs to be replaced. Like you could, and I did that for other things too, and I didn't get any credit for that. This is when looking at the cat, our cat. We have a cat now. It controls us. It has some signals it knows to. It lets us know when it wants to eat. It lets us know, you know. It jumps up on a stool and it wants me. It meows. It wants me to rub it and pet it and do that kind of stuff. It signals to us. It's pretty smart, but we can't have another cat because it controls it. This is its house, and it controls us. And it kind of bugs me that my ex-wife is talking about, you know, we can be talking about something that maybe I think is important, you know. Maybe I saw a YouTube video or, you know, or the news, CNN or whatever. And I'll start a little conversation with her, and then the cat will walk by, or she'll see the cat, and then she starts talking to the cat, and then I just walk, you know, I just walk away. And okay, 3 years ago, it says here, first day with my G7 camera, you know, Panasonic G7 camera. Anyway, I really liked that this. Yeah, we don't have we don't see the possums anymore. The possums used to come onto our patio and eat. You know, little babies and the moms, or the moms and dads or whatever would come. And they don't come anymore. Here's I got outdoor LED lighting projectors to project on the side of the apartment and stuff. Let's see, review of a wireless security camera. I don't remember anything about, some of the stuff I don't remember anything about. Here I can see there's a Blue Yeti in front of me, microphone. I have the new Blue Yeti over here, but it's a new one. Here's a video of me, 125 viewers. Jim Howard is streaming on Christmas Day of 2017. I've done it a few times. I don't do any streaming, which is kind of, because I was streaming video 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for years before there was a YouTube or an Amazon or any of them. I was doing it back, and I was doing it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I liked a lot of times I'd have the camera up in a corner of a room so you could see the entire room. And I even got paid by the federal government while I was doing it, because in 2000 I was doing the 2000 census, and you were of course allowed to work do some work at home, you know, getting your paperwork ready, getting your thing. That's a year you had to do a short form and a long form. Like every seventh person got a long form. Oh my God. But you were allowed, so I'd be at home naked with the camera going and doing federal government work and being paid for it. Of course, I didn't tell anybody. I didn't say, well, probably I did mention, hey, I'm got to go out now and do my, you know, but I didn't say, hey, I'm a federal government employee, look at me or something, you know. When I was in Orlando, Orlando, I drove up to Titusville. There's that's where Cape Kennedy, that's where they launched the space shuttles and all that kind of stuff. They're doing some launching now also from there also. But the Space Center, is right there on the coast. And right next to it is a big federal park. And they have, or probably still do, they have 22 areas where you can get, you drive into the park. It's a federal park. They have federal rangers, park rangers, and there are 22 parking areas. And I think I might have gone once on a weekend, and the place was, all these parking areas were filled up. But I usually went up there from Orlando on at Titusville a few times on a weekday. And so you pull in, and there's 22 areas. There's a nice, it's a nice park. There's a big area, number one, for parking. And then there's a ramp that goes over where the turtles breed or something like that, and there are signs, state of Texas or the state of Florida will execute. I'm teasing it, but I mean, it's like, do not mess with these turtles. Do not mess with these turtles. You will, we'll lock you up and throw the key away. And so the ramp you go up over, and you better not mess with it. And then you come to the beach. So there was 22 of these areas, and there were signs up, big signs, nudity not allowed, will be arrested or something like that. So of course, I had to take a selfie, but I took a picture of myself naked, right underneath the sign, naked, and the sign showing. I wish I had that now. Wish I could go back in time. But so anyway, there's 22 areas, and when I come on the weekday, 20, 2, 3, 4, all the way, you get up to, 20. You get up to 20. Nobody's parked in any of those parking spots. Maybe there was a car at one or, but nobody's there. Then you get up there to like 21. You leave 20, and maybe there was a car or two there, maybe 3 cars there. Then you get to 21, it's almost filled up, or maybe be filled up. And then you get to area 22, the last one, and it's filled with cars. And the reason is the park rangers, I'm sure the park rangers didn't come up to people and say, hey, you want to be nude? You can be nude here. So I'm sure people went there to 22 and got nude, and the park rangers, came around, you're not supposed to be nude, And then I guess the park rangers just eventually decided, okay, as long as these people aren't doing anything, if they're just there naked, enjoying the sand and the beach or whatever, we won't mess with them unless they're doing some, unless they're having sex or doing drugs or doing something, and so that was the deal, and that's why, everybody was at area 22, and there was overflow. They're having to park at area 21. Oh, but the thing is, they closed the park down, and I forget exactly if I've got the numbers correct. The park was closed down because of shuttle launches. Let's say 7 days before, I may be wrong on this, 7 days before the launch, they closed that down. You couldn't get in there. And then for after the launch, for 3 days, it was closed down. But now I was there, and they had the shuttles, on the launch pad. You could be there and, you know, and look over, and you could see the shuttle on the launch pad. And I'm guessing that maybe for security reasons before the launch, that they wanted to make sure there was nobody there going to do any kind of shoot at the space shuttle, or the thing, or maybe do some type of sabotage, transmit some kind of a signal to interfere with something. I don't know what the thing is, and I'm thinking maybe that afterwards, maybe they wanted to make sure that when the rocket was launched, that if something came down, that nobody else would mess with it. If something came, something like, I'm guessing, I don't know. Maybe if somebody worked there, you could. That'd be a good question for. This is my skin cancer on top of my head. Doctor did a good job. I had a choice. The type of, oh, you can't see it. Sorry. Let's see. What did you miss? Okay, you didn't miss. Here is the surgery I had on top of my head for a cancer, big cancer, skin cancer. My ex-wife for a long time was, you ought to have that thing on top of your head checked. You ought to have a thing on top of your head checked. And maybe because she's my ex-wife, I was probably like, I didn't want to hear it, I never said that or whatever, but I should have had it checked. And I think there was one person, maybe two, somebody I think said on YouTube at some point, you should have a place on top of your head checked, Anyway, the skin cancer doctor, it was a big project for him, and he did a good job. I have, though, anyway. Now the choice was, and I forget, I couldn't believe it, he says, okay, I think there was 3 options, I believe, maybe just 2. Whatever that type of cancer, or whatever that was, the surgery, whatever that was called. There was that. And then the other option was, okay, you have to go for radiation therapy, and it's like 60 days, I think not on Saturday and Sunday maybe or something, every day for like 60 days, or something like that, and have the radiation done. I forget what it was. Whatever it was a long time. And I'm thinking, oh my God, no, let's just cut this sucker out, Man, I got a lot of headsets that I was sent to review. I gave them all away. I just have 2 or 3 left, Oh, do I have one here? Oh, here it is. These tactical flashlights. I was sent, I don't know how many of these things to review. They're nice, I am down to, I think down to 1. No, maybe 2. Can't remember, but I gave 1 or 2 each to the 2 guys who, well, of course they changed that, probably the reason. The maintenance guys that work here and do repairs and stuff. This apartment complex has 2 of them. Not at the same time. Well, yeah, sometimes at the same time, they work. But I gave, each of them 1, and then I think later, one of the guys something happened to his or something. I gave him another one, I think. I can't remember. But they were really appreciative of that. And they're really nice cell, you know. Orange cat. Well, we've only covered 4 years, but I think this maybe is enough that, wait a minute, let's see if there's anything we're missing, anything. Here's my first, 4 years ago, my first 4K video made with my new Panasonic something. Sadie's surround stereo headset. Oh, here, 4 years ago, I voted today in Fort Worth for Hillary Clinton. That didn't work out very good, did it? I look at my room using my new Panasonic FZ300. I think that's the one with the telephoto lens, if I remember correctly. I still have that one. That's a good camera because of the fantastic telephoto lens. I do want to get a new cell phone. I have small, I didn't realize, so just a few years ago I did not realize all that 30 years of shooting, you know, carrying a gun, handgun, and having to qualify every year. I did not know that I had small, I just didn't know. Nobody, you'd think that a range officer or something would, you know, especially when I had some big grips on my, you know, my weapon, whatever it was, 38, and then eventually we could go to 40, you know, well, but eventually the Board of Police Commissioners, like I said, they controlled in Kansas City, Missouri, private security officers, and we had full police power on the property we were assigned to, and even were allowed to do hot pursuit. And that's because of just sort of a, I've mentioned that in videos or someplace in on Quota or something like that, and there's people, you know, they forget this is 50 states, you know, and people, somebody will answer back, maybe it's a video I made on YouTube or something. No, security officers don't carry guns. No, security officers can't arrest somebody. No, you know, Missouri was kind of unique, and I think it's still the same way, I believe. And so finally when the Kansas City, Missouri police officers, when the Board of Police Commissioners said, okay, Kansas City, Missouri police officers, you can now carry something other than a 38 revolver. And then the Board of Police Commissioners decided that Kansas City could carry 40 caliber, Smith & Wesson's 40 caliber. And then, of course, the Board of Police Commissioners then said, okay, security officers, you can now carry, in the very beginning, right away, they said, okay, you can now carry, you know, Smith & Wesson autos, you know, 40 caliber. And then the various hospital or the various directors of security or whatever contacted the private officers commissioning unit and said, why can't we carry, you know, what we want to carry? And the Board of Police Commissioners said, okay, as long as you qualify with, you know, as long as you qualify with it. There may have been some type of restriction. I don't think there was. And so then it was up to us to, I went with what Kansas City was carrying, you know, the Smith & Wesson 40 caliber. One of our guys, you know, he qualified. He had a 50 caliber. I forget what he carried, a 50 caliber. When you looked at the, when you looked down the barrel of that, you know, I looked at that. I was like, wow, big difference. And so anyway. Okay, I said I was going to bring this to a, you know, now that you can scroll down like this, maybe I should come back and sort of show some of these old videos over again and talk about them. Anyway, thank you very much for, please do thumbs up, thumbs down. Please subscribe. It took me forever to get 3,000 subscribers, and now I've got, what is it? Almost 3,500. Oops. Let's go to YouTube Studio. Okay, I have 3,370 subscribers, and like I said, it took forever. Well, to get to 3,000 subscribers. I never thought I would get to 3,000 subscribers, but I'm up at 3,370. So if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe now and click on the bell. And I appreciate it very much. Thank you.